Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. We all showed up to work today. How are we doing?
You didn't win any. No, you won none. You were so lucky last night. You said that Devin Booker would score 40 or more points. I don't think he even came. How about half of that? Thanks to way to go, Patrick Beverly. And I got robbed. The Clippers got robbed. Should have won the game. Let's talk about it.
Can I pull out a little looking for the homie?
So, how much did you win last night?
We pushed.
Oh, thank you. Then why are you drinking Dew? I'm the only one who should be drinking Dew because I was the one who got robbed.
You ain't get no robbed.
Yes.
You ain't get no robbed. You was celebrating. You thought you had a victory too, didn't you?
I'm worried about the face I'm looking at right
He
now.
thought he had a victory.
Skip, you don't look happy. You do not look
Give me a
happy.
little swimming in the square.
Okay, I heard you
Now we
coming
good.
in. I saw you tweeting last night, Skip. We have a lot to talk about. Skip, Shannon, get ready for this because, yes, we got to talk about that game last night. The Suns and Clippers went down to the wire with an instant classic last night. With all the attention on Devin Booker heading into the game, DeAndre Ayton was the hero with 24 points for Phoenix, including the game-winning alley-oop with under a second left that left everyone stunned. Phoenix was only down one at the end because Paul George missed two critical free throws with under 8 seconds to go. Shannon, explain this one to me. What is the biggest reason the Suns won here?
Yeah, I believe it was execution by the Suns down the stretch. And remember now, they're doing this without Chris Paul, their leader, the guy that has he has 25, 26 assists and only a handful of turnovers in the playoffs this year. So for them to be able to execute like they did, down the stretch. Because, Skip, if you remember, Paul George hits the 2 free throws. Devin Booker races back up the court. He hits a quick jumper. I think it took like 4 seconds off the clock. PG comes right back, hits a fadeaway, comes right. So, and then now, all of a sudden, they foul PG. You know you got to get a stop because you missed Devin Booker turned the ball over, Skip. And so now you got to foul PG. And I told you not to do. Now, Skip Bayless has spent the better part of 5 years calling this man George Paul, says he's a complimentary superstar.
Until this year.
No,
well, that's Indiana George Paul.
You know, he was like that in OKC too. But anyway, you've hit your wagon to this guy and said, this is the guy that's going to pull us to
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Now,
Is it my turn?
No, it's not your turn just yet. And so for me, I think that was the biggest play. And considering, Skip, after the game, Monty said, we've never practiced that play. And I was close to DeAndre Ayton's stat line, Skip. I said 24 and 12. He got 24 and 14. And I didn't really know what happened, Skip, because I was like, did Jay Crowder throw the ball in? I thought he threw the ball in, Skip, because I was as stunned as everybody else. I knew the ball had gone in, but I'm like, did he throw the ball in for out of bounds? That's going to be no good. And then when they go back, I was like, oh, DeAndre Ayton, he ended up dunking it home. But, Skip, I think you have to give the Suns credit. Because a lot of times when you lead for as long as they led, and all of a sudden you end up giving the lead up late, a lot of times, we've seen that happen in the playoffs. Teams succumb to that pressure like, okay, well, we saw that with Utah. We saw that with the 76ers. We've seen that a lot. Teams that lead basically for the whole game, and all of a sudden they fall behind and they can't recover. Give the Suns credit. I love what I saw from the Clippers also, Skip. T-Lue got them playing hard. I mean, without Kawhi Leonard, honestly, Skip, I really thought it's like, you know what? Okay, it's going to be a close series, but Chris Paul's going to come back. I'm not so sure even when Chris Paul's come back, they're going to run away with this series, considering what I've seen from the Clippers, minus Kawhi and against Utah. But, Skip, I thought their execution down the stretch, and then Cameron Payne. Skip, what can I say about this kid? He's 18 and 1, 18 assists, 1 turnover, shooting 50% from the floor in the absence of Chris Paul. Now, I'm not saying he's Chris Paul because he's not. We know what Chris Paul is. But I think Monty Williams and this team is very pleased with the play they've gotten from Cameron Payne. So with that being said, I thought it was the execution down the stretch and Cameron Payne, the way he played throughout the series, in this game, was the difference in why they won the game. Give the Clippers credit. I don't believe they're going away. All the Suns did was hold serve at home. Now you got to go try to steal one of these things on the road in the next 4 days.
Now it is my turn. I am devastated by what I watched last night. It was as excruciating as any game I've ever watched.
Worse than Game 6 of your Spurs losing?
It was more extended agony. because at least the Spurs in Game 6 in 2013 didn't get robbed.
Right.
At least it came down to the greatest clutch shot I've ever seen. And to your point, that was the greatest inbounds pass I've ever seen, but it was after the fact of the Clippers getting robbed. And I need to apologize publicly to my wife, Ernestine, and my daughter, Hazel, because they had to endure my wrath after that game. I was out of my mind.
Yeah, I can just imagine.
I was screaming. I apologize to those two for some of the language I used because it wasn't pretty. And yet...
Did your neighbors hear you?
Probably woke them up. They go to bed early. But the point is that you got me on one point. Paul George did miss 2 free throws. But in my view, those 2 free throws got rendered irrelevant. And before I leave Paul George, the thing that's getting lost, I'm sure there's a lot of pandemic pee out there.
It is. It deserves so.
But the salvo of scoring, of clutch shot making from Paul George from the 2:41 mark of the fourth quarter down to those 2 missed free throws was off the charts great. It was all-time clutchness. They would not have been in the position to win without Paul George going straight on, full out playoff P. I've never seen anything like it. Even I, having become a fan of his, didn't expect him to do what he did. If we could just see what happened starting at 2:41 left, he made his first 3. But this is like Trae Young, you know, going 5 for 23 and finally making 3 shots in the fourth quarter. Then he goes to the free throw line, and that looked pretty good to me, didn't it? That's 56 seconds left. And that was a little shaky, but it went in, and that cut the lead to 1. And then he comes right back and all the way through to the basket, and he made that, and that gave him a lead by 1. And this is the shot of the night from Paul George. That's going back and forth, tete-a-tete, mano-a-mano with Devin Booker, and he made, that's as clutch as it gets. That put them back up 1.
Correct.
And then, to your point, he goes to the free throw line, and when I expected him to at least make 1, the first one goes up, and it bounces around, and it wants to go in, and then it decides, nah, not tonight, and it falls off. And then he overcompensates on the next one, and he says, I'm going to make sure this is up. I'm going to get this one up. I'm going to make sure, and it hits nothing but iron on the backside into... Listen, I'm upset with him a little bit. If he had charged that, if he had known that was long, because he had a chance to fight for the long rebound, and Bridges got it. But he got it to his credit, because you're supposed to block out the shooter, obviously. Is it you or me? I got him. So, but if Paul at 6'8" had gone forward, he might have been able to at least have a jump ball off that, and it might have changed the game. So now we come down to the madness of the conclusion of this game. And in my life of watching sports, in my extended career, my extensive career, I've never been more mystified, more baffled, more out of my mind over a review call than I was over what happened at the end. So with 3.3 seconds left, they swing the ball, they get it out of Devin Booker's hands, and they swing it to the corner, and Bridges misses a 3. Help me out.
It goes to Crowder first.
Yep. Goes to Crowder, then swing, and here's the shot, and it misses pretty badly. Help me out. Did that not go off DeAndre Ayton's hands? Because he's the 7-footer. It appears to me... Huh?
I think Terrence Mann hit it.
Nope. It's straight off the 7-footer's hands. And Terrence Mann knows it, because he turns and claps. He's pushing the other way and clapping like we just won the basketball game. And remember, Terrence Mann grew up in a coaching household, because his mom has been a college and now a pro coach, obviously, with your Atlanta WNBA team. So he grew up in a coach's household. He has high basketball IQ, and he knew exactly what had just happened. That's off Ayton's hands. And what baffled me the most was, and I'm not trying to take ESPN to task, but they didn't have an angle on it. Like, we have that big overview angle, but usually on those review plays, don't we get the side out of bounds? Don't we get the from the baseline? Don't we get it from 17 angles? So during the review, all I heard from the commentator crew, and I love those guys, seriously, Mark Jackson and Coach Van Gundy, they're the best. Mike Breen is they're great on great on great.
Yes.
But they spent the whole extended review time talking about, What will Phoenix do when it I'm saying it's not Phoenix's ball.
Right.
The ref called it Phoenix's ball, but I think they went over and they didn't want to overrule their call on the floor. I don't know, and I don't think they had a better angle to show exactly from the baseline view, but he is 7 feet tall, and it's